Hooray, it's Friday. All right, let's take a look at what we're going to work on today. We're getting away from text. This is still about t-shirts, stuff you can put on shirts, but this is not a text thing. I want to tell you that I'm already connected to the virtual desktop. I'm not going to go through that. I've already signed into Creative Cloud, not going to go through that. I also have a Google window that I have already signed into, not going to go through that. Let me minimize that down. I am going to remind you that you could, if you've had trouble saving things or turning things in, you could sign into this Drive file stream. I'm going to double click and I'm just going to quick go through it here. And you know, it feels like when you're doing this remote stuff, you're signing in like over and over and over. That's just how it is. So you would put in your redpride.net. If you're doing the file stream, you would put in your redpride.net email address, click next. And it's going to take you to single sign-on. And then that's going to make a connection to your Google Drive. And again, the advantage of doing this, and I'll try to remember to show you this in a minute, when you're in Illustrator and you're doing some work, you can click File, Save As, and then over there on the left-hand side, your Google Drive is going to be one of your options. So you would be able to save your work directly to your Google Drive, and then you would know where it is, right? Some of you have had trouble. I can't find my file. I can't turn it in. If you get it on your Google Drive, you can at least share it with me or email it to me. Even if you don't use Schoology, you can get it to me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. I don't really need that box. And this just shows me that I'm connected to my Google Drive. That's all that's for. I'm going to go ahead and close that. All right. I'll bring up my Creative Cloud app and just go ahead and start Illustrator from there. I could have clicked the Windows Start button and started Illustrator that way. Doesn't matter. I just want to go ahead and get it started. Starting. All right, once we're in, I'm going to create new. Just make yourself an artboard. That's all that's really important here. You just need some space to work on. All right, here we go. Now, if you're not understanding what I mean by, I'm going to close that. If you're not understanding what I mean by rotation pattern, well, watch. I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right. You can make these out of anything. You could use, you can use text. You can use things that you built with the pen tool. You can make groups. You could build something by using the Pathfinder. There's a million ways you could go. So I'm going to, I'll start this off kind of with an ellipse here. I'm just going to draw an ellipse kind of like that. And again, you could do all kinds of things with color, whatever. Color is not going to matter a lot today. I am going to, sorry, again, my properties panel over there is not working. So I'm going to bring up a swatches panel at least here. Okay, all right, so I've got this, and because my swatches panel is not working, I have to convert that curve a little bit different way. Thinking too many things at once, sorry. So I drew an ellipse, and I selected this bottom anchor with the white arrow, and then I converted it to a corner instead of a curve anchor, and my properties panels disappeared over here, so I did it a different way, but it doesn't, you don't have to have the same shape as me. All right, so there it is. That's going to be my shape. I'm going to rotate, and I could make this a color if I wanted to. There we go. Yay. All right. Okay. Now, here's how you do it. You go to the tool panel, look for the rotation tool. It looks like a counterclockwise, kind of a backwards circular arrow, or you can probably hit the letter R. I think keyboard shortcuts work here. All right, so I'm going to tap the letter R, and that activates the keyboard or the rotation tool. Now here's what you want to do. Pay attention. I got to think, I want to rotate this around like an anchor. I'm going to drop an anchor. and I want to rotate this shape around the anchor, make several copies of it around the anchor. So I need to kind of pay attention to where I'm going to click. In fact, I'm not just going to click. I'm going to put this anchor like right below that little, looks like a flower petal. So I'm going to put it right below there. I'm going to hold the Alt key and click. And if you hold the Alt key, you got to do that. You have to hold the Alt key. If you don't hold the Alt key, then this isn't going to work the way that I'm showing you. All right, so you have to hold the Alt key and click where you want to drop the rotation anchor. And for the angle, I'm just going to do this. I could type an angle in there, but I'm going to think of it this way. I'm going to do 360 divided by, and then this will be the number of like little flower petals that I want. So let's say I want 12 flower petals. Okay, so I'm just going to have Illustrator do the math for me. I could do it, but I'm going to have it do the math for me. Now here's the next step, and again, this is important. I don't want to click OK. I want to click Copy. That's very important. Don't click OK when you're doing this rotate thing. Don't hit OK. Hit Copy. And you see what it did. It made a copy of that little like flower petal thing. Okay. Now to finish out the rotation, it's a keyboard shortcut. Should work on your Chromebooks and everything. Don't see why it wouldn't. It's Control D. You just tap Control D and you keep tapping it until you go all the way around. And that's what I mean by a rotation pattern right there, is that I drew that little shape, and then by dropping an anchor and doing all those things you saw me do, I made a nice perfect rotation pattern out of that. Now I could do a lot of things here. I could take, I'm going to select all of that, and I could certainly group it. I could come along here and individually color those flower petals if I wanted to. There's a ton of things that you could do. I think I'm just going to, I'll go ahead and group it. I'll do Control G to group, and I'm going to size that down a little bit. And I'm going to keep it moving because I don't want to take forever on this demo. Okay. All right, yeah, so let's look at like a different example. Let's say that maybe I take the pen tool and I'm just going to make, I'm not going to do super fancy stuff here, folks. I'll just make this kind of be like an isosceles triangle, right? And I probably didn't get it perfect, but I'm not going to worry about perfect today. You could, all right, I'll make that a color. And so that's going to be the thing that I kind of rotate. It'll look a little bit, a little bit similar to what I did before, but so I've got the thing that I want, right? Okay, and my goodness, use your imagination. I might just slide this bottom anchor over a smidge. I like that a little bit better. Use your imagination. You can do a million possibilities here. All right, so this has to be selected. This triangle thing I made has to be selected. I go get the rotate tool. I think about where I want to drop the anchor, and I Alt click, hold the Alt key and click. So that's going to be, I'm going to put it right below here. I'll hold Alt, click. All right, so here we go. I said 360 divided by, and how many of those triangles do I want? That's the question. I'll just do like 8 of them this time, and I'll hit Copy. Don't hit OK. I'll hit Copy. I'll do Control D several times, and there we go. Look at the pattern that I was able to put together by using the rotation tool. And I made a kind of a basic shape and used that rotation tool, and you saw me do the steps. So now I'm going to take my black arrow and I'll just select those are all separate pieces. I could color them all different if I wanted to, but I'm just going to group them. I want to keep this moving here. I know you don't like sitting and watching. All right, so let's park that up there. All right, so here's another possibility. I'm going to throw this out there. You can steal my ideas if you want to. I'm going to do an ellipse. All right, I'll draw kind of a tall, skinny ellipse like that. But this time I'm going to say I don't want to fill it. And you know what? Because my properties panel is being weird, I've got to go get my stroke panel here. I don't know, somebody ought to email me and tell me, is your properties panel doing that? Does everything just like disappeared on your properties? Say, I got a layers panel, nothing on the libraries panel. Something showed up on the libraries. Layers, properties, nothing. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I can work around it. All right, so anyway, I've taken this ellipse, and it's not filled. And then you might consider doing this. not filled, and I stroked it. I could stroke it with whatever color I wanted to stroke it with, but I'll just leave it black for now. I'm going to go get the rotation tool, and this time, if you look carefully, and I could zoom in on this so you could probably see it. If you look carefully, the center of that oval is kind of marked. I'll zoom back out. And I'm going to use, wow, I went too far. Do that. I'm going to take the rotation tool and I'm going to use that center. So I'll still hold the Alt key and just come right in there and click on it. I'll just do an Alt click right where that center anchor was. All right, right in the very middle of it. All right, so again, same kind of thing. 360 divided by, how many of these do I want? And really, it's up to you. Let's say I want 16 of these. I can do the math myself, but why? All right, so I'm going to hit copy, not OK, so I'll hit copy. And see, because it's not filled, you see what I mean there? You see that it's not filled, and so I get a different result. So now I go Control D, 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 D. And, sometimes with the number that I pick to divide by, you might get to where when you're hitting Control D, you think, well, okay, it's not doing anything new anymore. So that means, you've done it. You've rotated it around. You're not ever going to see any more difference after a certain point. All right. Look, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Look at that shape that I made there. That's kind of cool. And I could drag in here and I could group that together. And there's a million other things. Man, if we were at school, I'd show you so much more. I could do a Pathfinder divide on that, and all of those shapes would become separate shapes, and I could fill them all with different colors. And oh my goodness, it starts to get like a mandala after a while. But anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and group it. And look, there it is. That is, I'll close my swatches. I'll close my stroke. Look, 3 examples of rotated geometrical patterns. I mean, I used a filled oval over here. I used a triangle. I used a unfilled oval with the anchor in the center here. So, use your imagination. Gosh, you can do a million possible things. Now, I want to show you that the file stream thing. If I go up here to the file menu and I do a save as, if I look over here, I'll pull this over in the middle. If I look over here on this PC on the left and I scroll this down, oh, look, Drive G right here is my Google Drive. So again, if you've been losing your files or you think, I saved it, but I don't know where it is, I can't find it. If you connect to that file stream thing and it makes this Drive G, which is your Google Drive, and I could double click, and you got to double click on this right here where it says My Drive. And then I could just come in here and say, okay, this is going to be rotations, right? And I'll just press enter on that. And now I just saved that on my Google Drive. And that means even after you disconnect off of the remote desktop, you'd be able to find that, right? You could go to your Google Drive and it should be there, and you could share it with me. You could email it to me. Maybe you can get it on Schoology somehow. But yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and hop out of Illustrator here. Oh man, sometimes working on a laptop and in a little bitty screen just isn't that much fun, right? And I'm going to close out everything like Creative Cloud here. I can close that out. I had a Chrome window open. And remember, if you open a Chrome window, I would be able to, if I wanted to, I could go to Schoology and turn that file in, right? But I'm not going to worry about that right now. Now, the other thing you ought to do when you're all done on the virtual desktop, on the remote desktop, go down to the Windows button, go to the power button and shut it down, all right? This shuts down your connection to the remote desktop, so I'm going to go Windows Power and shut down. And I will get a window here, or a little message here that says, wait for it, you've been disconnected. All right, looky there. That's it for today. Trying to make those rotation patterns. Good luck. Have a good weekend. And we'll have a little bit more work to do. It's still t-shirt stuff. We're still thinking about t-shirts. A little more coming up next week. I'll fill you in on Monday about that. All I can say is fist bump.